Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Super Saiyan Prodigy here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to beat Salamangreat as a Phantom Knights player. I thought about doing this series last format. I just kind of wanted it to diversify a little bit more, wait until like top tier decks like Dragon Link got hit, and then I go more into explanation, since we do see now decks like Sky Strikers, Salamangreat back in action now. So I feel like this is a good time to do these types of videos. So yeah. Going into the deck. So the deck, it's a lot of level 3s, kind of like Phantom Knights are. So I think it's pretty cool matchup seeing level 3 monster decks going up against each other. And they primarily focus on link summoning and then relinking with the Salamangreat Sanctuary Field spell. And then they also use Falco to set back their Salamangreat spell and trap cards, since they sometimes have to pitch fodder with it to for Signet mining, and they mainly want a plus off of the graveyard, such as special summoning the Spinny or the or drawing into cards from Flame Buffalo. And then they do have Mirage Stalio as well, that just got recently unbanned, so that's why you see a bunch of people playing it right now on Dueling Book or in real life tournaments. Just remember though that they are locked into fire effect monsters though, so they can special summon non-fire monsters. They just can't use their effects. So they can go into Abyss Dweller. They just have to wait until your draw phase, standby phase, or whatever to use it. And then also be wary that if you can't break their first turn board, that you will be punished with the Update Jammer and Access Code Talker combo, since this does gain up to 5300 attack with the Transcode Talker. And then the Update Jammer, when it's brought out by Transcode Talker and then they go into the Access Code, it does allow Access Code to attack twice, and then it'll just pop up your entire board, and then you'll just be left with taking like 10,000 points of damage. So as you can see, their primarily method of a negation is through their trap cards. Salamangreat Rage is a Trident in form of a trap, and then the Salamangreat Roar. But the problem with this is that the Roar requires them to control Salamangreat Link monster in order to get the Omni negation off, and then Rage just requires them to send a Salamangreat monster from your hand or face up to the graveyard in order to get the Trident pop. So one of the best hand traps against them is going to be Nibiru. It's a little bit I wouldn't say it's not as good as like Ashbow or Ghost Spell is, because it's not a level 3. That's the primarily issue. You know, we want to see as many level 3 monsters as possible, but we also, you know, we gotta play some cards like Droplets, you know, some monsters that aren't level 3s, unfortunately, in order to get the job done. And unfortunately, this is kind of one of the monsters we have to play in order to, like, in the side deck to get some kind of effectiveness against some decks. And in this, and for Nibiru, it really is effective against Salamangreat, since if you clear up their entire board when they end their main phase 1, they're only going to be left like a Salamangreat Rage at best if they have a Salamangreat monster in their hand. Ash Blossom and Ghost Spell are great. Ghost Spell can stop Transcode Talker from reviving the Update Jammer. It can also stop Spinny from reviving itself. Will of the Salamangreat Ash Blossom just hits its generic draw cards like Pot of Desires, Signet Mining. But the biggest one is Droll and Lockbird. Fortunately, it's a level 1, but I think it's worth it because it'll stop a lot of their draw power since they play so much of it in their deck. Signet Mining, Lady Debug, Flame. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then not really 5. If they're a good Salamangreat player, they'll activate this in the draw phase. And then 5, like, see how much like searching they have to do in order to establish a board presence. That's why Droll and Lockbird is really good against them. And also Anti-Spawn Imperial Order is very good against them. I think, like, as a Fan Knight player, you should be signing in anti-spell and Imperial Order just because of how good it is against majority of decks in the format, but I'll get into those decks later. But I see how many spells they play, such as Signet Mining, like 4 spells right here that they usually play 2 to 3 of in their deck, and it's going to stop a lot of their ability to be able to search and get gas in order to develop some kind of board presence or try to break your board as well. And then we also got the Phantasme. It's decent because usually they always are gonna maybe get off 2 Link monsters at once with Baylings and Sunlight Wolf, so you'll be able to draw 3 cards actually instead of 2. And it also helps put back the Dragoon bricks or Burning Abyss bricks we play in our decks as well. So I think it's decent because the deck continuously link summons, and it just helps us get draw deeper into our hand traps. And then Infinite Permanence, they do run in a lot of hand traps as well. This is one of them. If you're on Shade Brigadine, you might want to consider Infinite Infinite Impermanence to try to negate a monster effect, but also negate the one of their spell cards by activating it in a column that a spell card is active in. Contact C, it may or may not be bad depending on what their extra deck looks like, because if they play generic Link material, then they can get rid of it with just Nightmare Phoenix, but I mean it also disrupts their combo since they're forced to go into something that they don't want to go into, such as if they've normal summoned a Foxy to search and then they go into Baylings. Well, if you use Contact C on their Baylings, then they can't just search out Salamangreat Sanctuary to start relinking and get their combos going. And then so these 3, they're generic hand traps, so they can do alright. They won't stop maybe their complete combo, but it'll slow them down just a little bit. You know, kind of like Phantom Knights, where like if you Ash a Torn Scales, as long as you have like another level 3 extender, or if you try to like affect Valor, the tour guide, you know, if you just special summon out like a Psychic Tracker or E-Telly for like a second monster, or you know, that sort of thing, where like we can play through disruptions as well. So it's like take that into that aspect as well, just being careful of like hitting the important stuff, such as a Spinny, the Transcode Talker, the maybe the Baylings, depending on if you can tell if they already hard drew into Sanctuary already or not. And then Cosmic Cyclone, I'm mixed about it right now because I see like 50% of people signing in Lancia, and it's like so we're not seeing as much of it as we did last format because of Dragon Link and Dinos, and then since those decreased in popularity, less people are signing it in. I'm gonna wait and see if I decide to side in Cosmic Cyclones right now, because I am siding in Twin Twisters. But if it does become more of a norm to not side in Lancia, I will more be on the fence of recommending Cosmic Cyclone, just because they can't Baylings protect their negates and disruption trap cards with Baylings. So this is also a good way to just bait out the Salamangreat Roar. But yeah, so I think I went over good hand traps to play against the deck, and I'll just go ahead and continue into an analysis of a duel I had against the deck to go into more detail. Alright everyone, so I'm going to use one of my most recent duels against the deck. This was in the Chalice Line Monthly. You can go ahead and check out that deck profile on my channel as well. I ran up against another fellow Yu-Gi-Oh content creator called Femboy Yu-Gi-Oh. Shout out to him. I ended up being his only loss in Swiss, actually, funny enough. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So you can see here is opening hand. I believe this was game 2, I want to say. For some reason game 1 didn't save, but it's whatever. So yeah, so he opened up no hand traps. So knowing this is game 2, I didn't open up any of my side cards either, but I continue to play fourth with it. Now, unfortunately, I kind of had to risk it there because I didn't want to play into Nibiru, which doesn't actually look like he sided in against me. But usually in games 2 and 3, I like to preemptively go for it, even if I'm losing out on one potential extender if I don't go into it early, because I don't want to lose all the board presence I just try to make. So that's my reasoning behind that. But I did lose out Dragoon, but I did gain a really powerful hand trap in the Droll and Lockbird I talked about, since he already has, it's going to make his Signet Mining his only search card for the turn. He did unfortunately draw into Sanctuary, so it's not as impactful since he can still build a presence, but it does make his Flame Buffalo a bit dead though, since he won't get he won't be able to plus off of Link Summoning with it. And then here, since I know I lose against Dragoon, I go ahead and Turtle up, just in case he sides in anything like Lightning Storm. I have the sword, just to be safe against that. And then, yeah, then he top stacks the Impermanence, so that kind of screws me over a little bit, but still wasn't that detrimenting. So the reason why I Fogblade the Gazelle is because I don't want him to start loading up his graveyard with Salamangreat cards. I don't want him to get out the Spinny that lets him be able to bring it out as an additional extender that I have to worry about. So as you can see, he's ready for my Phantom Knight sword for the protection effect, so that's why he brought out the Lingaribo. So he does bring out the Baylings, so that way I don't start destroy his field spell, and he wants some protection, so he can end up with something on his turn, but I searched out the Torn Scales and I'm able to get going. So in here he does use Baylings though. He does have the Ghost Spell ready for me though, but fortunately the effect of Breaksword's destruction is not a hard once per turn. So you can just keep on bringing it back, and even if the target doesn't end up being destroyed, Breaksword still has to pop itself. I forgot to say that because the first time I used Breaksword, it didn't get destroyed because he used the Bayling's protection effect. But that time, since he no longer had a Baylings, it did. His Baylings also ended up getting destroyed as well as my Breaksword. And here he brings out Gazelle. That actually ended up being a double-edged sword on him. He actually kind of, it did him kind of worse because later in the duel he's gonna bring out Axis Code Talker, and then my Arc Rebellion is actually a few hundred points stronger than his Axis Code Talker. So he actually just ended up making my Arc Rebellion stronger, and he misplayed a little bit, but I guess since he wasn't that familiar with the Phantom Knights deck, that he didn't think it was such a bad thing. Since now he brought the Spinny out, so he has recursion. That what he was trying to put into the graveyard on his turn before mine. So then you see here, yeah, just like what I said, 6,600. So if he didn't summon out the Gazelle, I actually would have, I could have died to his Access Code Talker. So I do have the Imperial Order ready. He's gonna still be able to pop off a little bit, as you're about to see here. So then I do misplay here a little bit. I forget he has another Balinx here, and I try popping his Foxy with the Break Sword and Rusty Disruption combo. But yeah, it ended up being a misplay on my part if he didn't end up summoning out the Gazelle, because usually you want to save it for when they bring out the Transcode Talker to try to attempt to do the Update Jammer and Access Code Talker multi-K, which we are about to see here. So I could have also hit the Sea Archiver, but he does bring out the Spinny though, and I think actually if I would have hit the Sea Archiver, it would have stopped his Link plays. Actually, I don't think he could have gone to maybe a Link 2 for Heat Leo, but I have Imperial Order up, so I mean I don't see any other ones he could. I don't see any other Salamangreats he could have special summon. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Falco, yeah. So like here is where I should have saved up for the Rusty Disruption, because Balinx only protects Salamangreat cards. So yeah, so he pumps up the Access Code Talker. I watched his live stream where he did commentary over our match, and I guess he just didn't read the part he said where it can't be destroyed by card effects. So here I bring out Raiders Knight just to pump up my Arc Rebellion a little bit more. And I don't think Salad plays an out to this, honestly. I mean, yeah, I just don't see a way where he gets out of this now that he loses his Access Code Talker. I think he tries to go for Foxy to like excavate something, but I think he ends up hitting nothing if I recall. I think game one he just he had a lot of hand traps in hand, and then I think I only was able to get up a Dragoon, Rusty, and like one Fog Blade at that point, but he had so many extenders that he was able to do the Update Jammer Access Code LTK on me. So yeah, so moving on to whoops, that's not game 3. Oh yeah, so moving on to game 3. This is really decent. I was expecting him to go off, and then I was gonna bait out the I know I just said that Cosmic Cyclone is a better choice, but I mainly save all my spell and trap removal for Harpy's Feather Duster and Twin Twister. So I know it sounds a little bit contradictive of me, but it does bait out like some kind of destruction prevention from like a Balinx or from a Roar or whatever. So yeah, so unfortunately opens up with no Salamangreats even after the Pot of Desires. So then he does open up a different dimension ground though, which is fortunate that I ended up opening up Harpy's Feather Duster because it baits it out. So then this is one of the misplays that I did here that you're about to see. I go into Kagamucha Knight, and then I just go into a Break Sword. So I could have possibly went into a Dragoon here because I misread the card. I thought it said that like Um, Not that I misread the card, but I misread Verte. I thought the materials had to be sent, the monsters you use for fusion materials for the monster. For the fusion spell card, Verte Anaconda is copying. I didn't realize that only the spell card has to be sent into the graveyard. I was thinking like, oh, it's just like Dimension Shifter where I can't even go Dragoon here, but that wasn't the case. But I mean, it ended up working a little bit to my favor because oh no, I mean it still would have ended up the same as you're about to see. He does get off Flame Buffalo, which does let him draw into cards, but he's not. He link summons into Sanctuary, gets out of Bay Links, Will. That's all he's able to do for right now. He still doesn't have enough gas to go off. So fortunately for me, I drew into Ghost Belt to counter out the Called by the Grave. And then the situation here is I brought out Shade Brigandine. I got Silent Boots out. So I wanted to get Boots into the graveyard so Breaksword can try to pop some shit and then use its effects so I can bring out my two Fam Knight monsters. But since I don't have Silent Boots as Xyz material, I kind of had to work around it by setting up a Verte Anaconda first and then waiting to do the Breaksword effect. So yeah, so that Breaksword effect gets negated, but fortunately I do have, it's not a hard once per turn though, so I do have Torn Skills, search, pitch a trap, dump a PK monster, then special summon it out, get out another Breaksword, and then here I'm just going to go Arc Rebellion and then into Dragoon and swing for game. Oh yeah, as well as a Breaksword as well for the extra damage actually. Since the reason I had to do that is because after you use Verte's effect, you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn. So you want to chain in response to Verte if your opponent lets that go through. And then yeah, so those were my tips and tricks on how to beat Salamangreat as a Fam Knight player. I'm thinking here that your most powerful hand traps are going to be your well, I'll actually just use this to look it up. Your best cards are going to be your Nibiru's, your Ghost Spells, your Droll and Lockbirds. I'm more of an advocate for level 3 generic hand traps over Effect Veilers and DD Crows, because I feel like if you just brick, if you don't open up any Fam Knight monsters, you can at least use your hand traps to go into Share BD and start doing your combos from there. But Max Contact C, Nibiru, these are decent. They'll do okay depending on how much gas they open up with. But your biggest one's gonna be Droll, Nibiru, and Anti-Spell and Imperial Order. So I hope this little guide of tips and tricks, a little bit of an explanation of how Fam Knight pairs up against the deck. Since we're mostly going second deck, you don't really need droplets since all their negations are through their trap cards and in their hand traps. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful to you guys. Please comment below any feedback you'd like to give, any other tips and tricks you want to use. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.